Welcome to another intermediate esl-lounge reading lesson video. Today we will be reading 4 reviews of a documentary film to see how different critics can have very different opinions. Let's begin with some vocabulary. Account, a written or spoken description of an event. Biased, showing an unfair preference for one person, group or idea over another. Cinematography, the art and skill of making films. Disjointed, not connected or ordered in a clear or logical way, confusing. Empathy, the ability to understand and share someone else's feelings. Interwoven, twisted together, or closely combined. Narrative, a story or a description of a series of events. The way a story is told. Objectivity, the quality of being based on facts and not influenced by personal beliefs or feelings. Omission, the act of not including something that should have been included. Standpoint, a set of beliefs and ideas from which opinions and decisions are formed. Stunning, extremely beautiful or attractive. Unsatisfying, not giving you what you wanted or hoped for. Great! Now you know the key words, let's read the texts. You are going to read 4 reviews of a documentary film. Read them carefully to understand each critic's opinion and reasoning. Afterwards you will answer 10 questions to check your understanding of each review. Okay, let's start with text A. Critic A. The Great Migration is a film that will undoubtedly connect with audiences on a deeply personal level. The director makes the deliberate choice to focus on the human stories behind the historical event, and the first-hand interviews with elderly survivors are incredibly moving and powerful. I left the cinema with a profound sense of empathy and a much deeper understanding of the emotional toll of the journey. However, the film sacrifices factual context for feeling. By focusing so heavily on these individual tales of hardship and resilience, it fails to provide a clear timeline or adequately explain the wider political and economic reasons for the event, which for a historical documentary is a very significant omission. End of text A, let's continue. Critic B. From a purely technical standpoint, this documentary is a masterpiece. The cinematography is genuinely breathtaking, with sweeping landscape shots and intimate close-ups that deserve to be seen on the biggest screen possible. The director's use of digitally restored historical footage is also seamless and technically impressive. But a film must be more than just a collection of beautiful, disconnected images. I found the central narrative to be surprisingly disjointed, jumping between different personal stories and historical timelines, without a clear sense of logical direction. The film is visually stunning, but its core storytelling is confused and ultimately left me feeling unsatisfied. End of text B. Let's continue. Critic C. This is a powerful and important documentary that achieves a perfect balance between hard, verifiable facts and compelling human emotion. The director cleverly uses clear on-screen graphics and concise analysis from respected historians to explain the complex historical background in a way that is engaging and easy to follow. These informative factual segments are then skillfully interwoven with personal stories that bring the dry history to life in a relatable way. What impressed me most, however, was the film's admirable objectivity. It presents different perspectives and conflicting accounts without telling the audience what to think, allowing us to form our own conclusions. It is a mature, nuanced, and respectful piece of filmmaking. End of text C. Let's continue. Critic D. While The Great Migration presents itself as a factual, impartial documentary, I felt it offered a rather biased and one-sided account of the historical event. The film clearly champions one particular perspective and largely ignores other, more complex and challenging viewpoints that would have provided a richer picture. The careful selection of interviewees who all tell a similar story, combined with the emotive musical score, constantly pushes those who watch this film towards a specific, predetermined conclusion, rather than encouraging any kind of critical thought. The film is certainly persuasive and emotionally engaging, but I seriously question whether it is an entirely honest or complete representation of the past. Okay, time for a few questions to check your understanding. Question 1. Which critic praises the film for its visual appeal but criticizes its structure? Pause the video now to think about your answer. The correct answer is critic B. The text praises the film as visually stunning but criticizes its core storytelling as confused. Question 2. Which critic believes the film fails to provide enough background information? Pause the video now to think about your answer. The correct answer is critic A. The text says the film fails to provide a clear timeline or adequately explain the wider political and economic reasons for the event. Question 3. Which critic accuses the film of trying to influence the audience's opinion? Pause the video now to think about your answer. The correct answer is critic D. The text says the film pushes those who watch this film towards a specific, predetermined conclusion, which means it tries to influence their opinion. Question 4. Which critic compliments the film on its combination of facts and personal accounts? Pause the video now to think about your answer. The correct answer is critic C. The text says the film achieves a perfect balance between hard, verifiable facts and compelling human emotion. Question 5. Which critic states that the film's emotional approach undermines its historical credibility? Pause the video now to think about your answer. The correct answer is critic A. The text says that the film sacrifices factual context for feeling, which undermines its credibility as a historical documentary. Question 6. Which critic applauds the film's beautiful photography? Pause the video now to think about your answer. The correct answer is critic B. The text says, the cinematography is genuinely breathtaking. Question 7. Which critic expresses doubts about the film's truthfulness? Pause the video now to think about your answer. The correct answer is critic D. The text says the critic seriously questions whether it is an entirely honest or complete representation of the past. Question 8. Which critic mentions the film's effective use of interviews? Pause the video now to think about your answer. The correct answer is critic A. The text says the first-hand interviews with elderly survivors are incredibly moving and powerful. Question 9. Which critic claims the film gives a fair and well-rounded view of the subject? Pause the video now to think about your answer. The correct answer is critic C. The text praises the film's admirable objectivity and its choice to present different perspectives. Question 10. Which critic describes the film's story as being difficult to follow? Pause the video now to think about your answer. The correct answer is critic B. The text says the central narrative to be surprisingly disjointed. Let's quickly summarize the lesson. On this screen you can review the main points of the text and the key vocabulary. Finally, here are a few discussion questions. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching this ESL-lounge video. Don't forget to subscribe for more lessons, and we'll see you in the next one.